I'm sorry, ma'am, but we still have no idea what's wrong with her.
The doctors outside whispered to my mom. Everything she eats, she throws up. She's so weak she can't even go to the bathroom on her own. Please, help her, my mother pleaded.
We're doing the best we can. Right now, her organs are all shutting down. We don't know how long she'll have before.
I am a strong and proud girl. I don't like to show weakness at all, and this includes crying. I act tough as much as I can, but sometimes I can break like a mirror. My story begins 1 year ago when I was 17, and my family were getting ready to adopt a boy, my little brother. You see, my family is like a foster family and have been fostering for quite some time. Even though he was only 4, my soon-to-be little brother had been with us for more than half of his life. The court date was getting closer and my entire family was getting more and more anxious to welcome one more person into our home with our last name. However, it was in March when things began to go downhill. Besides the fact that my family fosters kids, we also welcome German students into our home for 1 month every school year as a part of this program in my school. That court date was also getting closer, and I myself was growing more and more anxious. In the beginning, it was simple things, headaches, fevers, fatigue, etc. Spring has just begun, so getting sick wasn't abnormal. However, it would go away, and just when I think I'm okay, it'd come right back, and worse. Migraines, stomach aches, loss of appetite. I would sometimes go days without even eating. I started to develop a weird rash across my chest and on my back, down my arms, my neck. To lift my spirits, my father tried taking me out to go shopping, and even offered to get me lunch. But nothing sounded appetizing anymore. And when he offered me ice cream and I declined, he knew something wasn't right. That evening when we got home, I went downstairs to my bedroom and sat on one of the reclining chairs we had in the den. And it was like somebody had dumped me into the lake in the middle of winter. I was suddenly freezing, my teeth were chattering, and I could not stop shaking. I rushed over and sat in front of a heater, turning the heat up as high as it would go. I grabbed one blanket and put it on me facing the heater. And then another, and then another. Nothing helped. I went upstairs. I told my dad I did not feel well, but he simply said,
"Oh, I thought you'd never get cold,"
in a sarcastic tone. And while that may have been true before, since I was that crazy kid who would sit out in the middle of winter with nothing but a t-shirt and jeans, that wasn't the case now. "Dad," I said bluntly, "I'm not in a joking mood." And I could tell by the sudden change in his face that he knew that this was serious. The next morning, my dad had taken my soon-to-be brother, my foster siblings, and my sister all to church. My mom had decided to stay back and make sure that I was going to be okay from what had to be a flu. We had already tried going to a doctor a few days ago, and they simply said it was a cold and I should get better in a few days, but I didn't. I remember waking up feeling like I couldn't move. It hurt so bad. I was so cold. I wrapped a blanket around me and climbed up the stairs, making my way to the living room. All I could do was just stare at my mom, whimpering like a baby that couldn't communicate how they felt. I was supposed to be a big, strong, tough girl, but here, now, all I was a baby. A baby begging someone to please take the pain away. Instantly, my mom came to my side, looking at my dad and then back at me.
"Get dressed. We're going to the emergency room,"
she demanded, walking to get a few things to put in her purse. It was the first time in such a long time that I needed my mom's help to get dressed. I remember having to carry a bucket on my lap as we drove 10 minutes to the hospital. I had been dry heaving so much, Yet nothing came out because I hadn't eaten. And any time I tried to eat, it would just come back out in a matter of minutes. When we got there, I was so exhausted I could barely keep my head up. My mom tried to explain the situation to the receptionist, who asked, "Is she normally like this?" I think they might have assumed I was born with some type of muscle problem, or that I had a mental disorder because of the way I was sitting, unable to move. It felt like hours, even days when I was in the hospital. My mom still tells me to this day the doctor had to pry my eyes open to talk to me. They had me do the usual, open my mouth, take a cotton swab, a urine test, so on and so forth. My heart rate was through the roof. I remember looking at it like it was maybe in 180 beats per minute. All the while, my blood pressure was dangerously low. It wasn't until later that the doctor came in, looking worried. Then he pulled my mom to his side and told her that he didn't know what was wrong with me. He told her he didn't want to give me some antibiotics for something he wasn't 100% sure that I had. Instead, he made the decision to send me to the children's hospital, about 40 minutes away. I thought my mom would have to drive me there, but no, he insisted. "You'll have to go in an ambulance." The ride to the hospital, I don't remember too well. I do remember that the lady that sat in the back with me was really nice. I remember she was really sweet and asked me about my stuffed animal and said that I was very brave. The next morning, I didn't even realize it was the day. My mom had gone because they were going to court to adopt my little brother. I only woke up after she got back. As with me, everything's stable now. I was no longer in critical condition, but they still had no idea what was wrong with me. That afternoon, I was finally transferred to a normal room. Okay, maybe it wasn't that normal because it was still in the hospital, but still, it was better than being in the ICU. The nurse insisted that I eat, but every time I tried, even something as light as a salad or as small as a French fry, I just vomited it back out, each and every time. I was still extremely weak, but I needed to take a shower because I had been sitting in the same bed not moving for the past 3 days. Some of the doctors said that they got the test results back from a urine test, and at first, they thought it was a kidney infection. But closer examination explains that no, my kidneys were trying to shut down, along with the rest of my body. All of my internal organs, each and every one of them, were trying to shut down. My body was still in the process of dying. And if I had hesitated for one more day, I might not have been here. Again, I'm a proud person. But even then, my mom had to help me shower. I apologized to her over and over again, saying, "I'm so sorry," or "This is so stupid and you shouldn't have to do this. I'm a 17-year-old girl and I can't even shower myself." But she barked back, "Shut up. I am your mother. I will probably be doing this for you when you have your first child, and I will do this for you whenever you are unable to. Because as your mother, I am supposed to care for you, and I do it because I love you." While staying at the hospital, my mom was the one who spent the night with me. She's a short Hispanic lady, so sleeping on the couch wasn't too much of a deal. During the day, my dad would come, a big, bald white man who's reaching 6'6", so sleeping on the couch would not only be awkward, but it would be really funny to see. Eventually, both my parents were asked to come in while the kids were at school. A group of doctors, all of them, probably younger than 30, informed them of things that they thought about the situation. They still didn't know what was going on, but they were determined to find out. Wednesday, 2 days after my brother had been adopted, and 2 days until my students from Germany came, a group of doctors who I had met before came into my room, all 6 of them. I got to meet them last night when I started having a panic attack. After being trapped in the same small room for 3 days, greeting me with a smile, they suddenly said, "Well, you could have died." And all I could think of was, "Gee, thanks, Doc." Not like I'm still hooked up to all of this equipment. They informed me that with all of the symptoms that I was showing, there was only really one possibility for this. They told me that I had experienced a toxic shock, a very rare disease that affects about 80 people in the United States each year. They told me that it was most likely due to the fact that I had been sick, along with wearing a tampon during my menstrual cycle. Now, before you go saying that this was completely my fault and that I should have to suffer the consequences, let me just tell you that apparently toxic shock doesn't affect everyone. You could leave your tampon in for days and nothing would happen. Other times, you could be affected by having unsanitary tools or equipment during surgery. For me, it was while I was sick, when my immune system was already down, that my body started to react poorly. What this means for me now is that I am not able to wear tampons. Oh, maybe when I'm 30. But the doctor strongly recommended that I never wear them again, because if I do, there's almost a 100% chance that I will get it again. The same thing will happen if and when I even get a scratch on an item that I don't know about. Whenever I have a large gash, an open wound, anything like that. I want to share my story because I want to prevent as many people from getting toxic shock as I can. The majority of people who suffer from toxic shock die. I just happen to be the lucky one. So please, check for warning signs and go see a doctor if you feel that something isn't right with your body.